Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to RDTV today. My name, Paul Jeffrey. My job, to introduce, present, share my thoughts, opinions and experiences in this, the new Enduracers and Gentleman Racers modding team version 3 release of the Endurance Series mod for rFactor 2. Now, what is the Endurance Series mod? It is a wonderful collection of cars across 3 categories of endurance racing goodness. Behind us you see the P2 prototype category, and if I back out of the screen a little bit, apologies for the awkward overlay, you can see we've got some P3 cars as well in the form of the wonderful Ligier, which I shall load up onto the screen very quickly now. I say very quickly, not really that quick, but we'll go for that as well. So that's a lovely closed top prototype as well. And then we've got a whole selection of GTE specification cars. An Aston Martin, BMW, a Corvette, a Ferrari, and what's called Flat 6, but is essentially a Porsche. So, we're pretty excited, I think, about taking this new version 3 update out. The mod was already really good quality. It's a really nice mod for rFactor 2, and it's just got even better thanks to this version 3 upgrade. So I'm going to take them out on track in rF2 and let you know what we think of the new Endurance Series version 3 by Enduracers and the Gentleman Racers modding team. Let's go to the track, see what we think. Right then folks, let's go token driving. We've picked Silverstone for this video, and we've picked the Nissan powered Zytek P2 prototype as our car of choice for this token drive video. The reason I've elected for P2 rather than a P3 prototype or even a GTE car is that I'm hoping during the course of this 30-minute event we should get into the territory where we can start lapping the GTEs, as there's a bit of contact going on there, which we've managed to just about, through more luck than judgment, avoid getting wrapped up in. So yeah, I'm hoping that by the time we get to the end of this token drive video, we'll start lapping some of the GTE cars, and you can have a good look at some of the models that are included in the Endurance Season V3 mod package. And this pack has got an absolute ton of cars included. I had a quick count up before coming on track, and there are 20 different car configurations in the pack. Some of those are the same chassis with a different engine. So this Zytek 03 that I'm driving at the moment comes in Nissan Power, which we're driving. There's also a Judd BMW version and a couple of other versions as well. So although the model may be the same, the power unit that pushes it along the tarmac is a little bit different. But there are 20 configurations, which is just wild. I think off the top of my head there are a minimum of 10 unique models, and that is across 3 different categories. As I say, the P2, the class leading P2, which we're driving in now, so this is the fastest category in the Endurance Series pack. There's the P3, which is again still a prototype. That's the Ligier. That's the closed top prototype car, which is a little bit slower than these, but still relatively comparable. And then the GTE, the Grand Touring. GTE cars are essentially GT3 cars. There are some noticeable differences. GTEs are a little bit faster, but for all intents and purposes, they are a GT3 specification car. So they're the Grand Touring class, things like the BMW, the Aston Martin, Ferrari and Porsche are included in there, as well as the Corvette as well, of course. So you've got a load of variety. For a GT fan, basically this mod contains pretty much anything and everything that you might be interested in. And it's essentially a ready-made multi-class endurance category. We've run this actually in earlier versions at RaceDepartment in our flagship RDLMS RaceDepartment Le Mans series. We ran a previous version in our last campaign in 2018, and we've also, much earlier in the life of Race Department, run the rFactor 1 version of this epic mod in RDLMS as well. So this team and this mod is very much friends of Race Department and something that we've been a supporter and backer of for a long time. So from a personal point of view, it's very exciting to see how this mod has moved on over the months and years to get to the point that it's at now. And they're not finished either. Enduracers have confirmed, much like with their Flat 6 series mod, there will be further updates available for this pack as and when Studio 397 share the manuals and user guides and resources for the latest shader technology. So from a visual point of view, expect these cars to get even prettier in the non too distant future, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the new shaders, what Enduracers and the Gentleman Racers modding team can do about the new shaders that are in development at the moment by Studio 397. Now, anybody who doesn't know, the new shaders basically bring some more graphical goodness to the cars. So in terms of Studio 397 content, the most recent GT3 pack that came out for the sim benefits from these new shaders, and that's the pack that's got the McLaren 720S in and the Aston Martin Vantage as well. So it will bring a visual upgrade to existing content within rFactor 2, but the details on how to make use of these in the mod content that our wonderful modders have created has not yet been shared by Studio 397. Hence the reason nobody's brought it out as updates to their mods. It is scheduled, it is planned for some time in the reasonably near future, so Enduracers have already committed to upgrading both this Endurance series and the Flat 6 series as well to the latest technology when that becomes available. So that's really good news. Really looking forward to seeing what difference it makes to a mod that, quite frankly, I think looks pretty epic already. And the graphical improvements of rFactor 2 have been remarkable in the last 12 months, and these cars, for me, look pretty fabulous as they stand. So I'm excited to see what that new shader set can do for the Endurance Series pack. But keeping it firmly rooted in the present, what does the new update bring? Well, while we're talking visuals, I'll mention that all the cars now are being updated with the new position lights as per the GTE Challengers. No, it's not, sorry, I apologise. As per the GTE Endurance pack that Studio 397 reasonably recently brought to the sim. So now, position lights across all three classes within the mod are active and working on each of the cars that form part of the version 3 release of the Endurance Series pack. So that's really nice to see. Big bonus for anybody looking to engage in league and club racing with these kind of cars, and that really stands out when you do the night racing and the endurance lights are displayed on track. I like things like that, and that's again another nod to authenticity and realism, and something I'm really pleased to see Enduracers and the Gentleman Racer team adopting with these fabulous cars. But on the physics side, the bit that's less visual but certainly massively striking when you get behind the wheel, the cars have been updated to the latest CPM tyre model as per the GTE Endurance pack. So there's been some physics tweaks, there's been tyre model upgrades, and there's been some force feedback changes as well. And basically, it's absolutely brought the cars alive. I thought the mod was already at a very good state as per release 2, but it's night and day difference now with this new pack. Absolutely, it feels remarkable how much improvement Enduracers have managed to bring to these cars. Now, I'll give you a very quick and dirty summary of how my feelings have gone with the Enduracers Endurance Series pack over the years. I've got to admit, when it came out on V1, I was a little bit unconvinced by the force feedback and physics. I thought the models and the graphical side of things and the audio absolutely fabulous, but I never got on with the cars. I never got on with the force feedback or the physics. Just didn't click with me, it didn't quite gel. And now, for that reason alone, I kind of steered away from them a little bit, despite them being obviously really good quality. I don't know anything about car setups, so I always run the default setup that's available to me. And in that default mode, it didn't feel right. Now, I was lucky, we ran these cars as part of the RaceDepartment Le Mans series, and I got the opportunity to test for Redshift Racing at the season-ending Sebring event. So thank you guys for that again, by the way. And they gave me a setup for me to run on the practice server and have a feel of what their prototype car felt like. And the setup brought the car alive, made a really big difference. rFactor 2 is, for me, the sim where changing your car setup has the most prominent effect on the force feedback experience you get behind the wheel. And it felt much, much better with a custom setup on it. Also much quicker, but that's by the by. And I started to think, hello, yeah, these cars actually have got some real potential. And I began to really quite enjoy the Endurance Series pack. This is version 2, I believe. And I got to the point now, then, where I actually thought this has really become, now I've got used to it and put my own custom setup, it's become one of the strongest car mods in rFactor 2. And I thought that sounds pretty much like as far as we're going to go with it. And as such, it's excellent, really impressed, highly recommend it, very much enjoy it. And now they've brought this V3 out, it's just blown previous versions absolutely out of the water. This is significantly better than what it's been at any stage in its life on rFactor 1 or rFactor 2. It feels just, dare I say it, almost perfect. The feedback's really nice, the new tyre model makes a huge difference to the way the cars behave. This feels like a high performance, high powered, high downforce and grippy prototype car. But I can still feel through my hands the way that the car's behaving when it connects to the tarmac. I don't know if it's placebo or it's actual forces and physics, I can feel the tyre moving underneath me 100 times more than I used to be able to do in previous versions of the mod. And that's still running the base setup that comes as default with the cars. There's no custom setup at all on this car that I'm running at the moment. And I can really feel what everything's wanting to do underneath me. If I'm coming into the chicane now, I can feel when the tyres lock, the steering goes a little bit light, it weights up nicely when you're in a high downforce corner and the car's being sucked into the ground. Honestly, the change is remarkable. I'm really, really impressed with how, I'm only talking from experience of the P2 cars at the moment, have not had the opportunity to try the P3 Ligier or the GTE cars yet, but I do very much intend to do that soon and probably even do a video about it as well. Why not? Everybody likes a bit of rFactor 2 endurance racing action. But yeah, what they've done with V3 from a physics and force feedback standpoint is massively noteworthy and really does change fundamentally the behaviour and subsequently the enjoyment that you get from these cars. It's almost a different mod, and I'm grateful for that. It's turned what I had personally down as one of the best mods for rFactor 2 into, probably fair to say, the best mod for rFactor 2 without question, in my honest opinion. And that's both for the size, scale, quality and feeling of it. It's just a little pack of everything your heart desired when it comes to multi-class endurance racing in what I think is the best game for multi-class endurance racing. So, some could say, pretty much a match made in heaven. So well done, Enduracers and Gentleman Racers modding team. This has, I would say, it's left me gobsmacked and without words, but I've never been without words in my entire life. I don't intend to start now, but it's definitely left me awed by the level of quality they've managed to bring to this mod. I'm doing a 30-minute race, and I wish I'd have set it to 5 hours because, yeah, this is great. We're running this, by the way, a little bit off subject, but we are running this mod regularly in the rF2 Racing Club at RaceDepartment. So do head on over and get signed up for a race or four, because these are fabulous, and they're even better when you put them in an online environment with people that know what they're doing and are clean and fair. It's absolutely amazing. So do get yourself signed up for one of those races and you will have a blast, and these cars have just got even better. So never been a better time to go and do some online multi-class racing at RaceDepartment. But there we go, an impromptu advertisement for our racing club that I wasn't planning, but we just fell into, so sorry about that. I'll put a little note at the beginning of the video: advertising is contained within this footage. But yeah, I do recommend it, honestly. If you've not tried it, or for whatever reason you're nervous about going against your fellow human beings, put those reservations to one side, get stuck in. Be warned, once you pop, you'll struggle to stop, and it will bite. The bug will bite you, and you'll want to do it oh so much more often than your time or wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever allows you to do. Right, back to the mod. So as I say, we're in P2, and I think we're starting to get to the point now. There's a stranded GT car, look. He's had himself an incident. We've got some yellow flags. So we're getting to the point now where we're looking at lapping some cars. So we should be able to see a few different models out on circuit, which will be nice to add a bit of variety to the video that you're watching now. But there is variety throughout the field. I mean, this Zytek Nissan we're driving is an open-top sports car, which for LMP2 and also LMP1 and the four named LMP 500, open-top was very much the standard of the time. But in recent years, that's moved to closed cockpit prototype race cars, as you can see in the current LMP1 category. And as you can see from the car that's in front of us, actually. So it's nice that we've still got some of the old school open top prototypes available to racing, which were always a bit of a personal favourite of mine. Here we go, we're getting bolts and caught up behind a GTE Aston Martin Vantage. There you go. Sneak past him and away we go. So it's nice that they've got a mix of the open and closed top cars and keeping an era that was really good for sports car racing alive in a modern mod for rF2. So I'm really chuffed about that. And also, actually, while we're talking about the models, the original, as there's a bit of off-track action going on there, let's try not to get too heavily involved. The original Endurance Series mod for rF2 1 did contain older cars from the 03, 04 and 2005 eras, but since version 2 it's actually been updated. The older cars remain, but it's been updated with some new models, courtesy of a relationship between United Racing Design and Enduracers and the Gentleman Racers modding team. So there's a couple of URD models, I believe, running around in the GT class, such as this Aston that we're about to go past, and the Ferrari 488 as well. And they're really good quality models. All the models, to be perfectly honest, all the 3D work within this mod is very good quality, and looks all the more better with the graphical updates that they've received. It's fully working and functional with the new rFactor 2 Rain. As I say, it's DX11 as well, and it will be getting the update when the new shader materials are made available. So it is keeping trend with the ever-growing number of improvements and changes to the base rFactor software. And as I say, courtesy of the partnership with URD, we've got some really quality car models in the GTE category as well to complement the already excellent quality that's available within the mod. So it's a really good, in-depth, thorough package. And the liveries, let's not forget the liveries. I don't know how many there is, there's got to be over 100 different skins for various different series from various different eras. There's some American Le Mans series, ELMS, WEC, Le Mans real world liveries in there as well, across all three categories of car. So if variety is the spice of life, as they say, then this is a chicken bolty. It is spicy. Oh, it's a vindaloo. That's even better. It's a vindaloo, full of spice. There is a load of variety within this pack, and there really is something for every taste. I mean, I've picked P2 just because I think it's the best option for this video to, as I say, give us a chance to work our way through the pack. But I'm a GTE guy at heart. I like the closed-top Grand Touring cars, and more my bag. I tend to err towards that side of car whenever doing any racing. So I'm looking forward to see how they've moved on since version 3 came out mid-January 2019. If they've moved on to the level that the P2 cars have, or the P2 cars have even, then, well, happy days for all concerned. I've got 10 minutes left to try and wrap up. I really could have done with a 5-hour race to talk about all this stuff, I'll be honest with you. I know I can be accused of erring more on the side of positivity than not when it comes to talking about sim racing. I don't think that's a negative thing. I don't cover rubbish on our YouTube channel because what's the point? I don't want to bask in incompetence or wallow in unhappiness. I only pick good stuff to feature on the channel because I want to share with you guys what I think is the better part of sim racing to help you, hopefully, have some insight into what we think's hot and what we think's not, and try and get the most from your experience. So, hello, where's he off to? Oh, it's all happening. Yes, cleared him. Yes, multi-class racing. And I honestly do think, putting my Mr. Positivity hat down for a moment and trying to look at this clear-headed and unbiased, I think this is some of the best content for rFactor 2 you can get if you're a fan of endurance GT racing. It really is class through and through. The quality of the cars visually, the quality of the cars physics, force feedback, the audio, the variety in terms of models, classes and liveries. It's just all there. It's done to an exceptionally high standard, and I absolutely can't wait till our next series of the RD LMS, when I'm sure, although this is not confirmed, so forgive me if this turns out not to be accurate, I'm sure we'll be using these cars again for our next series. And I just can't wait to get involved in that. They're absolutely of the highest quality that you could hope for in rFactor 2. I've spent time in previous versions. I'm going to assume that the quality of this Zytek Nissan that I'm driving now will be of an equal quality of the rest of the pack. And if that's the case, there's not really a bad word I can say about this. The only bad thing I can say about it, and it's not a bad thing, and it's absolutely not anything Enduracers can control themselves, is I just like more of it. There's already an absolute ton, but it's that good. I just like them to keep. I'd like to see them just keep adding and adding and adding cars at this quality to the pack, because it's just fabulous. I defy anybody to have a go in something like this and not come away with a massive smile on their face and a bit of frustration that their free time they've got available to them isn't long enough to get on it and do some longer races. It's 10 out of 10. Really is 10 out of 10. Please, I implore you, if you're just watching this because you've stumbled upon it and you don't know what sim racing is, buy a steering wheel and pedals, buy rFactor 2 and download this wicked free mod. And if you do know what sim racing is and you know all about these sorts of things but for whatever reason haven't tried the new version yet, turn this video off and go try the new version. But like and subscribe first, of course. It's just amazing and I love it. Really do love it. I'm very much in love with rFactor 2 at the moment. I think the GT3 content and the GTE content and the prototype content that they brought out for it of late is fabulous, and I think this one reaches up to those high standards and sits quite proudly shoulder to shoulder with the ISI content as, sorry, Studio 39 content, 397 content, get it right Paul, how hard can that sentence be? But I do think it sits shoulder to shoulder with that content in terms of quality, enjoyability, playability and raceability. It's just class through and through. I'm loving it. There's not a lot more I can really say about it, to be honest with you guys. It's just, so far, it's got everything. It's met and far surpassed my expectations during my time with this version 3 update. It's absolutely night and day. Another ballpark, another game, another everything over and above what V2 was. And V2 was good, don't get me wrong, V2 was very good, but it's just left that in the dust with this latest update. And I do think it is absolutely marvellous. Right, I've got 5 minutes left, so let's try and wrap up. Now, I can't remember if I've explained how you can get hold of this yourself, so I'll quickly do it. Apologies if I'm repeating myself again, but this is a free mod, so not pay content. This costs nothing. It's available to download by anybody, and there's 2 different ways you can get hold of it. Enduracers host this on their own website, so I'll leave the link in the comment section of the YouTube version of this video for you to go and visit them. And it's also on the Steam Workshop, so you can go to the rFactor 2 page on Steam, head over to Workshop items and subscribe to this pack, and then every time you fire Steam up it will look, see if it's been updated, and download and install the update automatically. Got to admit, I'm not really a fan of Steam Workshop. I'm a little bit old school in that I like to go to a central resource like RaceDepartment or similar, find the mod, see what people have got to say about it, rate it, comment on it, and download and install manually. But that's not the way rFactor 2 works. So you take what you can get. But if you are a manual installer, then you can get either the whole package or the version 3 update from the Enduracers website. And actually, while you're there, you may want to check out Enduracers' very recently updated Flat 6 mod. So I think, if memory serves, that's on version 5. And that's gone through much the same treatment. It's got the new CPM tyre model, position lights, some graphical, physics and force feedback tweaks as well. And that one's really stepped up to become an exceptionally good mod as well. The Flat 6 is of course a no brand name of a car that looks suspiciously like a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, and that's also a really good mod from the same guys from Enduracers and the Gentleman Racers modding team. And also that update, we did a video about it not so long ago, so check it out on our Twitch and YouTube channel. And that one's another mod set that's really moving up in terms of quality. But I think, although a significant improvement over previous versions, I think the new update for that one isn't quite as dramatically game-changing as the V3 is for this mod. there's just something about this that turns a piece of content that was already very good into just downright exceptional. And I didn't get quite the same "Oh, wow, look at you" type buzz from the flat six cars. Also, actually, a little bit of an interesting note for those of you who don't know, the flat six are available as a class of their own, the GTC class, within the Endurance Series mod, so they are available in this as well as a but with different liveries, as a separate fourth class, I suppose, to the Endurance Series category, just because there are not enough grid spots to be able to fit everything in. I usually leave them off, as I have done today, usually leave them off my multi-class racing and just stick to P2, P3 and GTE. And actually, when I talk about different classes, I've not yet tested how well these are balanced with the Studio 397 P2, P3 and GTE cars. I did very briefly and not particularly scientifically test this at version 2 release stage, and they did seem to play quite nicely together, so they did seem to be a competitive match for the Studio 397 content. I haven't done that anywhere near thoroughly, anywhere near enough I'd like to give that as a guarantee, and I've certainly not checked it since V3 came out, but there is more than a fair chance that these cars will work very nicely in terms of lap time and performance with the Studio 397 GTE, P3 and P2 cars. So that's worth considering as well, because the prototype categories available as DLC within rFactor 2 still need a little bit of fleshing out, and these cars would do a very good job indeed of fleshing that category out to make it a more sizable and substantial grid of vehicles. Not that it needs it, because there's an absolute ton available as part of the mod anyway, but still something that's worth making a note of and keeping an eye on. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sim racers the world over, that's pretty much it from me. I hope you found this video entertaining and enjoyable, and hopefully a little bit informative too. Plenty more where this come from. I've enjoyed it that much. I'm probably going to do the GTE one straight after, even though I wasn't planning on it, and my voice is starting to go a little bit now already. But yeah, I'm Paul. This is RaceDepartment. You've been watching on Twitch or YouTube, whichever it is. Thank you for the time you've taken to sit down and watch this video. Give us a little bit of excitement back in the RD office, and subscribe or like to us on our Twitch and YouTube channel, please. That would be exceptionally good of you. And also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and come visit us at RaceDepartment.com, where we cover the latest sim and real motorsport news, discussion, debates and topics of interest within our wonderful genre niche hobby. So, yeah, this has been the Endurance Racers, Enduracers even, and Gentleman Racers Endurance Series version 3 mod for rFactor 2. Sim racing's awesome, people. Until next time, catch you later. Ta-ra.